Today we're joined by attorney Julie Lowe, founder of the law office of Julie Lowe in Beverly. Julie opened her firm in 2010 after a successful 13-year management career in the airline industry. At age 37, she decided to pursue a law degree, driven by a passion for helping the underdog and advocating for people who need legal guidance the most. Her practice focuses on estate planning, elder law, and special needs planning, helping families prepare for the future, navigate complex legal decisions with confidence. Early in her legal career, Julie worked with legal aid organizations representing at-need and indigent clients, which helped shape her client-first approach. Today, Julie and her team are known for their compassionate, personalized service, helping individuals and families organize their affairs and find peace of mind. She's also active in the community and recently received the John J. Ford Litigation Advocacy Award from the Massachusetts chapter of the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys for her work on behalf of older adults. Please welcome attorney Julie Lowe. You know, the Hands Off Beverly protest group began with you organizing it before it even had a name, shortly after Trump took office a little more than a year ago. What was the moment that made you say, I have to do something about this? What made you start?
It was the night before his inauguration.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I knew I had to do something as soon as he was reelected, but I was too traumatized to think about it for a minute. But I got on a phone call. I was on a webinar with Red, Wine, and Blue, which is a grassroots suburban women group that is, going against the Trump administration in the first administration and then again here. So it's a well-organized group of over 5 million members.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, 5 million members. So
wow.
yeah. Anyway, so they had this call with Heather Cox Richardson, which I bet many of our members of our group are familiar with.
Absolutely, Heather Cox Richardson.
She is. I couldn't believe she was going to be.
She's brilliant.
Yeah, I read her letters. I followed her through the first administration and so on, and since then. So yeah, I was thrilled. I get on this call and they're talking about what we can do, and they said that we should start a group, grassroots groups, and so they encouraged us. We went on the website. We looked up the zip code 01915, and there were no groups. I'm like, okay, no groups. And they're like, well, if there's no groups, then you need to start one. Like, oh, here we go. So I started one. I started a group that night. I'm a quick start. I want to get something done, I do it. So I started the group that night, and by our first meeting, we had about 9 or 10 members. Mm-hmm. And now it currently has 133 members. It's not an active group, however. All I do at this point with that group is I report, or I make events for the weekly Hands Off Beverly protests. Mm-hmm. Because that's really where my idea started. So then I saw the call from 5051 for President's Day, February 17th, 2025. Mm. And so it was really only 2 to 3 weeks prior to that I really started to pull it together. It wasn't long after he was inaugurated. It was obviously between the inauguration night and President's Day. Mm-hmm. And I had learned some things about how to do a protest from his first administration. So we made signs and we put it on social media. And I could not believe that about 35 people maybe showed up, and it was one of the coldest days of the year, wind chill factor. We were right in front of Beverly City Hall because they were calling for people to go to their local town halls or state governments or the federal. So that was what Heather Cox Richardson, the Red, Wine, and Blue, and just honestly, I have 2 daughters. I'm concerned for their future. I'm concerned for everybody's future. And so I knew I had to do something.
Yeah.
And so I was amazed that many people showed up. And we made signs the night before. My friend, a very good friend who deserves some credit, her name's Jenna Beers, and she's attended many of our weekly protests. Mm-hmm. But she is much more creative and artistic than I am, and she made most of the signs for our first protest. And then we brought supplies for other people to make signs to the protest.
Now, would you, as someone who's spent years fighting for vulnerable people in the legal system, was starting a grassroots activist group a natural extension of that work for you, or was that a little bit outside your comfort zone?
No, it was natural.
Yeah, it seems like it would fit.
It was natural for me to start the group. What I didn't have time to maintain the group. And so I had attended protests during his first term with the Ipswich Community Action Group, which I believe we're very connected with.
Yeah.
And they're still doing weekly rallies in Ipswich, and I attended those in 2016. I remember holding a sign saying "Bar None," and I thought the William Barr and the Mueller report was a bad thing. Boy, we've gone so much further afield than even that day. But yeah, so I learned from that group. I went to those protests. I didn't know people. But I went there, and the energy is just so positive. So I learned I watched what they were doing, and that's what I did when I started our first protest.
And you eventually handed off the leadership role to someone else, the great Andreas Bauermeister.
Yeah.
But you continue to show up as a participant. You're there. I see you every week. What went into that decision, and what was it like to watch the group grow from a different vantage point? I mean, from the 10 to 15 to 20, all the way up to we get 170. We've had 200. We've had 300. What's that been like?
Oh, it's been incredible. And I would have to say it was not really a handoff as much as an organic transition.
Yeah.
You know, Andreas attended the first protest, and there he was with pen and paper, getting his first email list together. He ran with it pretty much from that point forward, and I was grateful. And he attended one of our Red, Wine, and Blue meetings as well. But many members of the group that joined, they weren't interested in protesting.
Interesting.
It was younger. So anyway, they weren't. I didn't feel like that was their thing. And
But
so
red wine was.
Oh yeah, Red, Wine, and Blue is absolutely. And the 50-51 protests were, I thought, a great idea. You know, and so I wanted. But basically, when I lit the match. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that for sure. But I'm so grateful that Andreas and the leadership team currently in place took the reins. My life is busy. I run a business. I try to attend every Saturday as possible.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, to watch this group grow, it's been one of the greatest things I've ever witnessed. And it gives me, it's so satisfying because it's a grassroots group that blossomed into a force. It's become a force today, I feel like, the twice weekly protests with music, bubbles, joy,
right.
and a shared purpose. It is, this has far exceeded my expectations.
A lot of people say they come to our protest even from outside of Beverly because of the vibe. You know, we have an incredible DJ named Jim, and he spends hours curating the music, hours upon hours every week. Making sure that the beat is right, that the tone is set, and he does a great job.
Oh yeah, I think Jim is a huge positive force, especially in the winter when I have to move around.
Yeah.
So dancing around to the music makes it easier to stay warm.
Well, it's funny. Last summer, you know, when I started, I joined the group in June. After doing a podcast with Andreas and talking about it, and I said, I want in. And from that Saturday on, I've been pretty much there each Saturday. And I couldn't believe that we went from a little under 100 people when I first joined. Now we're, again, if we're under 200, it's kind of rare. You know, but as an elder law and special needs attorney, which you are, which is wonderful, you work with some of the most vulnerable people today in our society. How does what you're seeing happening in the country right now translate into real consequences for your clients? Like, what's going on right now that's affecting your clients?
Yeah, the OBBBA, which I don't like to say the name of it because it's not very descriptive.
No.
But it's one big blah, blah, blah bill, act.
That's right.
I substitute other words for beautiful
Blah.
because it's going to be devastating to persons with disabilities and elders.
Yeah.
You know, and the GOP purposely postponed the implementation of many of the most harmful cuts until after the midterm elections. Purposely, you
Yeah,
know.
shocking.
Yeah, very shocking. I mean, right now, Medicaid supports 72 million low-income persons. And this law, one of the things it does is it sets new work requirements. Okay, so if you're between the ages of 19 to 64, you're supposed to report at least 80 hours of work, education, or volunteer work, unless you qualify for an exemption to the work requirements. So right now, there's 9 million Americans on Medicaid aged 19 to 64. They're also, a part of this bill, is it's going to be so much more red tape to prove the work requirement.
Right.
And honestly, again, we're dealing with such vulnerable population. Filling out paperwork is not something many of the clients I serve can do by themselves
And
and even understand.
And there are going to be much less people in the Social Security office to help.
Oh, yeah.
So you get
well, it's
kinda
gonna
get whacked on both sides.
Well, it's going to be the Medicaid office.
Medicaid, excuse me. That's what I meant.
Yeah, so the Office of Mass Health is Medicaid in
Right.
this state. I think, you know, Medicaid and Medicare are two different things.
Yeah.
Medicare is for persons with disabilities and those over 65 who paid in. Medicaid is for low income and elders who need long-term care and home-based community support services. And as an elder law attorney, one of the best things I find that I get to do is to keep a senior home through home-based services. Keep them in their home with the care coming into their homes. You can get Medicaid at home. Our state has been waiving of the 5-year look-back rule. Once you turn 65, there's an asset test for Medicaid. It's no longer just income. It's income and assets. So you turn 65, and suddenly you need to have less than $2,000 in countable assets. It's a very low bar. Yeah. And so.
Well, this kind of thing goes into it, but how are you feeling about the direction of the country right now then? And does being part of HOB help, or does it sometimes make the weight of it feel heavier? Like, are you, given what's going on in the country, how does that make you feel first, and then how does it make you feel while protesting?
I feel very concerned about the direction of our country.
Yeah.
More than very concerned. I really do feel many people aren't seeing the severity of what's happening around them. And that's the concerning thing. And I see capitulation from major players, people who don't need to capitulate, people who have the resources to fight and stand up, and they're not doing it. I'm shocked at the amount of people capitulating to his demands. So I'm not feeling good about the direction of the country right now, and I'm hoping we have free and fair elections, because that's our last hope, I feel.
These midterms.
Yeah, these midterms are obviously huge, and I'm not confident that it will. I don't mean to be negative, but I'm not confident that he will do everything to stop. He's going to do everything to stop free and fair elections, because he knows he's going to lose big time. Look at these results that we've seen recently. I mean, the voter turnout. I mean, we're turning Texas blue, for crying out loud. So.
Yeah.
So there's some positive signs out there from elections and special elections that have been taking place recently. So that's a positive sign that I see. I always try to look for the positive.
Yeah.
Being part of this group, Hands Off Beverly. Last week I was at home, and I'm like, Friday night before the protest, I was really looking forward to it, because I hadn't been able to attend for several weeks because of commitments at work. my daughter going to visit colleges and so on and so forth. So, and I was like, oh, I missed it. I need to go get my dose of hope from the Hands Off Beverly protest.
Your dose of hope. That should be on a sign.
Yeah, that's
when,
what.
When you first organized, did you have any idea it would grow to what it's become? I mean, did you have any idea?
No.
I mean, what does it mean to see this many people in Beverly show up?
I think it's incredible that Andreas took this group and developed a leadership team. And I want to give credit where credit's due, even though I don't know the names of everyone on the leadership team. I know there are people out there working hard with Andreas.
Yes.
And basically, they completed this grassroots movement, and it culminated in the award at the Greater Beverly Chamber of Commerce.
That's right,
we
we
got,
did.
We got a Civic Pride Award.
We sure did.
And that, from a small protest at Beverly City Hall on February 17, 25, to just over a year later, being recognized by our local Chamber of Commerce for Civic Pride.
And it was funny, we couldn't figure out who nominated us until that night. We saw our state representative, Hannah Bowen.
Yeah.
She was the one that nominated us. And that made us feel just so good. And to win the award was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, so it means
Your career's been interesting, though, because you left a 13-year airline career, and then at the age of 37, you went to law school, which is a little unusual.
yeah.
Specifically to fight for people who needed help. I mean, that's a significant leap. What made you do that?
What made me do that? I'll say the Dalai Lama. In 2 words, but I'll expand on that. You know, working for the airline had its perks, so I could fly around.
Yeah.
Okay, I would stand by. I didn't know if I was ever going to get on, and I certainly was going to be in a middle seat somewhere. But a friend and I flew to New York City in 1999 to see the Dalai Lama in Central Park. He was giving a free speech. I really hadn't learned much about this in Buddhism or Dalai Lama or any of it, so I printed up the speech he was going to give. I found it, and I printed it up, and I was reading it on the plane. And I was looking at the words, and I'm like, okay, well, I can buy into some of this, but, you know, not for me probably anyway. But then when I got to Central Park and I heard him say the words, it had a completely different meaning then. And it totally sank in with me. And it wasn't immediate, but it was gradually. His words that day changed my life. To make a difference, you know. So I left the airline in 2002. It took about 3 years to make the plunge, to find my purpose. And once I realized what it was, I started law school in 2004, graduating in 2007. So yeah, at 40 years old. Yeah.
At 40.
Yeah, it was an incredible journey, to be honest with you. I always say that I was, a latent. I didn't realize my purpose until later, but it was something that I always wanted to do, is make a difference. I wanted my career to have purpose. I didn't just want a job anymore. In the airline industry, man, I had a great time. I learned so many things. I learned about leadership. They trained me on so many things. I budgeted $32 million operating budgets. So when I started my own company, I had some footing. So it certainly was important in my progression. But I was a square peg fitting in a round hole in corporate America.
Yeah.
After 2001, which is 9/11.
Yeah.
I left the airline in 2002. That was really that was obviously such a tragedy. And our company was involved, and it was a solemn day at work, to say the least. Even though I was never flying as a flight attendant, it was somebody in the airline family, and lives were lost. And but basically, it also makes you realize that life can be so short.
Right.
to put some perspective. But then the airline started using that, in my opinion, to make cuts. Cuts and things. They wanted to cut bonuses for my employees, kind of retroactively. Like my team members, I had a team, and we were given a huge project, and we basically met all the goals, and we were getting we got bonuses for that.
Yeah.
This one was going to come out just right before the holidays, so it was an important bonus. And they said that they weren't going to get it because we had to cut back because of 9/11. And so I asked my boss if the CEO was taking a cut in pay.
Yeah. No.
And that wasn't received well.
No, I can imagine it wasn't.
No, he knew. I had a great relationship with my boss, actually, to be honest with you. But it was obvious to me at that point that I was not going to rise up to in the airline industry ranks, and I was done.
I want to shift gears a tiny bit
Mm-hmm.
because you also employ someone through Northeast ARC's employment support program and use their services in your office. And it seems like advocacy for you isn't just professional, it's personal. Can you tell me more about that? How did you connect with Northeast ARC?
Well, since kindergarten, I've been advocating for persons who are underserved and disenfranchised. It's just always, honestly, been a part of me. And that was when I decided to go to law school. I was asked to do an exercise about, what made you different when you were a little kid before all these expectations were placed upon you. And I said, I'd always loved to fight for the underdog. Always loved to fight. And I thought to myself, but that's not a job. There's not, what, underdog fighter? But then I started, oh yeah, maybe lawyer. Anyways, that's how it all came about. And when I went to find my purpose in life, advocating for persons with disabilities and all other vulnerable populations were at the top of my list. Some would say I'm a natural born scrapper. But we use the Northeast ARC. We employ someone through the Northeast ARC Employment Services. She's been employed over 10 years at my firm.
Oh, wow.
And I've been on their Human Rights Committee for the past 14 years. And tonight I have a Human Rights Committee meeting, actually, at Northeast ARC. And they're amazing. I've learned so many things with my connections to Northeast ARC. It was a gentleman by the name of John Boris who visited me early in my practice, and he said, oh, you want to do special needs and elder law, would you like to sit on the Human Rights Committee for Northeast ARC? And I said, sure. And he connected me. I was blessed. So when I started my path, when I got on the path to where I was going, even if I didn't know exactly where it was at all times, I had so many green lights. I believe in green lights from the universe.
Right.
When you're on the right path, things just keep coming, and things fall in place. And I feel like, that's been my business. But also, I'm so blessed to be able to, why am I blessed to be able to do what I love to do? So many people don't get to do that.
Right.
I do. And it shows every day when I show up. 16 years later, after starting my practice, I still, people say, what gets you out of bed? I said, it's the advocacy. I do estate plans for everybody. But I also serve elders, and I do elder law, and I also do special needs planning. And I do Medicaid applications. So I'm pretty intimately familiar with Medicaid and the rules around it.
Good.
So I guess I took my natural born scrapper in my desire to want to help underserved populations. And I really feel like our country does not treat persons with disabilities very well. That upsets me.
Yeah. Well, for someone in Beverly who's been watching from the sidelines and wondering whether to get involved, whether or not they should get involved with HOB, what would you say to them? What would you say to someone who's thinking about it, or maybe is looking for something?
Jump in. Jump right in. What are you waiting for? That's what I say. But honestly, everybody can advocate in a different way. Not everybody wants to stand on the side of the street holding a sign. So attend the protests if you're able, because honestly, you're going to leave feeling so much better.
Yeah.
Every time. I'm walking up to the protest, and when I leave, I have a bounce in my step that I maybe didn't have as I enter. But people can support Hands Off Beverly in so many different ways.
Yes.
There's financial donations. You can give time or treasure. We love treasure, right?
Yeah, we love treasure.
You can make signs for protests. You can pray for the safety of all of us at the protest. Whatever it is, all forms of resistance, join in some way, whatever that way is for you personally.
Let me ask you, what gives you hope right now?
The resistance, and all of its forms that I see. When I see reporters and whistleblowers standing up and speaking truth to power.
Yeah.
When I see the Epstein survivors showing up with dignity and humility.
Yeah.
That almost makes me tear up. Sorry.
That's okay.
And the election results we've seen recently are very hopeful. I see hope when I see an ICE detainee released due to community activism. Because that lets us know that it matters what we're doing.
Yeah.
People say, what are you really doing showing up every Saturday, standing there holding signs? We're doing a lot.
Yeah.
Actually. And I'm excited for March 28th.
No kings.
Yeah, that is I feel like the attendance will be off the charts around the country. Will probably be one of the biggest protests. I'm looking to see for that 3.5% of the population that we need to overcome a dictatorship.
Now, can you explain this 3.5% thing?
And I think it might, I don't know if it's in the book on tyranny. It might be, I think it is. Because I did buy about 7 or 8 copies of that and handed them out to people.
Andreas bought about 20 copies and did the same thing.
I saw that, and I just laughed that he bought those books as well.
I'm halfway through mine. All right, I'm halfway through.
Well,
I'm
it's
very busy.
Yeah, no, and the thing is it is a short book.
It's a short book.
Yeah, I loved it. It was small, it was tiny, you could fit in your purse, for honest. Yeah, so, so giving me hope right now, it is hard to have hope. I find days, and I watch the news, and I try to stay informed.
Yes.
But it's getting harder and harder, right, to watch the suffering, and now the war. And I think that we have the strength to overcome this as a country.
Yeah.
I think we just need to get people out of the mindset that he is remotely a decent human being.
No.
You know what I mean? So I don't know how.
Don't be ridiculous.
How can we change the minds? I guess we can't. I don't know, because it seems like nothing budges them. And honestly, photos of him with 13-year-olds coming out. If that doesn't, listen, you know what lost it for me? Well, I knew Trump before he even ran for office.
Right.
And I was horrified that he got the nomination. I was even more horrified on November 9th, 2016. I will not forget that day. I was in despair. The first time.
I was in complete shock.
Our reverend opened up our church. I went. I needed to be with somebody. I just could not even believe this was happening. I was so excited to elect the first woman president. I was with my daughters. I brought them to the voting booth with me, showing them how important their civic duty is to show up and vote. And that was just devastating. And it was not as devastating as 2024.
Yeah.
I have to say the weight of that was...
I did the same thing with my daughters. I have 3 daughters, and just explaining how big of a deal this is, and then them being able to vote. 2 out of the 3 daughters able to vote, and I don't think it would be a surprise as to who they voted for in the last election. It wasn't Trump. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And just seeing them involved in the process and everything, and kind of makes you feel cool, like a parent, cool as a parent, that you've raised kids that are making smart decisions and things like that, and then it just didn't happen, and I was devastated.
Yeah, I mean, and about our kids, I mean, so important. I mean, after the 2016, I took my kids down to the Boston March for Science. I went to the Beverly Common. There was a Pride March for Our Lives group there, and I took my daughters and got them the T-shirts and the whole 9 yards. I wanted to make it a memorable experience.
Yeah.
And so I showed them how to be involved.
Yeah.
That was so important to me, and I'm amazed at how much they know, and I know it's because they have access to so much more information than you or I ever knew. When I was their age,
Yeah.
I wasn't. I have to say, I don't think I was very informed at that moment in my life.
Right. Well, you're informed now, and you're making a big difference. And I want to tell you, it's been a privilege having you on. And thank you so much for joining me, Julie
Thank you.
Lowe. And folks, we're going to see you next time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Hey, don't forget our weekly protests on Wednesdays from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at 225 Cabot Street, and Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Odell Veterans Memorial Park at 158 Rantoul Street. We'd love to see you at either or both, but please remember, March 28th is the next national No Kings protest, and we would love to see you there.